And Alyssa Sutherland's performance as Ellie the Deadlight. Not the Deadlight, this isn't it. Alright, ghouls and ghoulettes, today it is a spoiler-free review of Evil Dead Rise. So obviously this has been released in April. I had the absolute honor and pleasure to see it back on the 15th of February and also interview Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan from the film who play Beth and Ellie. They were absolute delights. But yeah, we got to see it a very long time ago. So I've been holding on to this one for quite some time because I was very excited about it. So obviously you got to sign NDAs and stuff like that and just keep your mouth fucking shut. Again, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. Won't be giving away too much, even though there isn't too much to give away per se. There is a nice little twist, nice little bit of storytelling at the end, but overall this is just going to be a spoiler-free review. So keep in mind, Evil Dead Rise has nothing to do with Ash, Bruce Campbell, even though Bruce Campbell is producing this film along with Sam Raimi, which is very cool. They're keeping it in the family, and it's just really cool to see that something that started out as a couple of kids making a movie out in the forest many years ago has evolved into one of the biggest horror franchises in the world. Now again, this has nothing to do with Ash. This is essentially an anthology of the Evil Dead franchise, which I think is a great idea, especially when you're so aware that it is an anthology movie, when the cast and crew know going full well into this that this has nothing to do with Ash, but the Necronomicon and Deadites do exist in this world. So again, keeping it in the family, but it's an anthology film. Now, the film was shot over in New Zealand and features a lot of New Zealand and Aussie talent, which is really cool and just kind of, you know, proud dad moment. So the basic storyline of Evil Dead Rise, Australian actors Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan play sisters Beth and Ellie, who have essentially been estranged for quite some time, but due to Beth getting herself into a certain situation, she reaches out to Ellie and stays with her and her 3 children in their high-rise rundown apartment in LA. So Beth is a guitar engineer slash groupie, whilst her sister Ellie is an aspiring tattoo artist, and Ellie has 3 kids. Again, they do reside in a rundown high-rise apartment, and in the basement of this apartment that is supposedly an old bank, in the vault, one of Ellie's kids, Dan, finds the Necronomicon, takes it back to the apartment, and starts reading a few passages, and you can obviously assume hilarity ensues. And from that point forward, the going gets going. The momentum is fucking phenomenal. Now, when you think Evil Dead, you think horror comedy, but in this case, Evil Dead Rise does not go the same route. But I dig it. It does its own thing, and it does it well. Keeping in mind that there are speckles of comedy here and there, and we also get some trademark Raimi Dutch angles and stalking POV shots. But for the most part, this is indeed a serious take on the world of the Necronomicon and the Deadites, and the film doesn't rely on ever mentioning Ash or in-your-face wink nudge Easter eggs about Ash. With that being said, we see the use of a boomstick and a chainsaw, but it's totally warranted as they actually have a use in the film, and not just hanging up on the wall like some Freddy glove. The seriousness of the film is that of the 2013 remake, and the fact that 95% of the film takes place in a high-rise adds to the claustrophobia of the film whilst upping the stakes of getting out of this situation alive. And at the same time paying homage to other classic horror films such as The Shining. The film is paired with haunting and stunning imagery and an opening title card shot that is beyond desktop wallpaper worthy. It's just over an hour and a half. It's the perfect runtime. Mind you, I would love to see a 2.5 hour Evil Dead film, but I think by having an hour and a half or just over an hour and a half runtime, everything is just so tight in this film. Again, once Dan reads from the Necronomicon, shit hits the absolute fan. If you've seen the trailer, it's no real spoiler. Ellie does become a Deadite in the film, and Alyssa Sutherland's performance as Ellie the Deadite is absolutely incredible and mesmerizing to watch. Look, everyone in this film brought their A game. I do have a few minor gripes with the film, but they're absolutely minute and pale in comparison to how wonderful this film is and how refreshing this film is to the franchise of the Evil Dead. Obviously, the rest of the film just centers around Lily the sister protecting Ellie's kids and trying to figure out how they're going to stop Ellie and try and bring her back to Ellie the mum and not Ellie the Deadite. The gore effects in this film are absolutely cringeworthy, and I mean that in the best way possible. I honestly commend Lee Cronin, the cast and crew for trying something different, and in my opinion is a welcome addition to the franchise. That, although it doesn't keep in line with the usual horror comedy approach of Raimi and Campbell's humble roots, but instead marches to the beat of its own maggot-infested drum. Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sutherland carry the film alongside their younger co-stars, putting themselves through the absolute ringer with some seriously heavy stunts and wonderfully nightmarish practical makeup effects. Again, if you've seen the trailers, you see that a cheese grater is used on a leg. We have one of the kids eating shards of glass. Just the sound effects, the score, the gore effects, the makeup effects, everything just works so well together and complements each other. We even had the amazing Odd Studios do some effects for the film, so a massive shout out to them. That is really cool to see. Now, backtracking a bit, the beginning of the film takes place a day after the main events for the film, and then the end of the film kind of wraps up why we did that time jump there. I do have a few grievances in terms of continuity and how they wrote a certain character's disappearance towards the end of the film. Just some things don't make sense, but I think it's one of those things where you have to suspend disbelief. I also kind of saw Beth and Ellie as best friends that have been estranged for quite some time as opposed to sisters. I think that's just because Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan just don't look alike, but they also do have a nice dynamic as sisters. Again, they're wonderful actors that are really good in this film and do a crackerjack American accent. But overall, I could just see them more as best friends that have just been estranged for quite some time, and obviously Beth reaches out to Ellie, so I just had to accept that they were sisters, that's all. But overall, this is a welcome addition to the franchise with just a few plot points at the end that just didn't exactly add up. I just still think the cast and crew gave it their absolute all. The score is amazing. The sound design is incredible when it's paired with such gory special effects and practical special effects for that matter. It employed a lot of New Zealand and Australian talent, which is so cool. I want to see more of these anthology type movies. I would like to see more of this particular world as well with these characters. Don't limit it to just this. Branch out if this is going to be a hit, and I really hope it is because I absolutely love what I saw on screen. I love the new design of the Necronomicon. We don't have a face on the front anymore. It's bound by teeth, sharp, gritty looking teeth, and looks brutal. The incantations and the illustrations inside are absolutely haunting and dead set stuff that I would love to frame and have on my wall. Probably hide it when we have guests over though. So yeah, ghouls and ghoulettes, overall, apart from just me not buying into the fact that Beth and Elle are sisters, I could definitely see them as best friends, but I just had to suspend disbelief. And also just a few plot points at the end with how we started in the film and how we ended in the film just didn't add up exactly in terms of a certain character's disappearance. Regardless of that, I think this is a very welcome addition to the Evil Dead franchise. I want to see more of these anthology films within the franchise and also other franchises. The runtime is perfect, the momentum flows very well, there's not really any downtime, and if it is, it's about a minute and then they get back to the absolute carnage. So with that being said, I'm going to be giving Evil Dead Rise 4 chainsaws out of 5. So guys, once you have seen Evil Dead Rise, please drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Was it everything you thought it would be? Do you want to see more of these anthology films? I must say, I am very proud of when I first started interviewing Alyssa Sullivan and God, it's so hard because their last names are so similar. Sutherland and Sullivan. When I started interviewing Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan, this is what I opened with.
Alyssa and Lily, absolutely love the film. And to quote Bruce Campbell, groovy.
With the eyebrows, good.
I'm so proud of that, but so nervous at the same time. Groovy.